Hey guys, welcome to A Little Help for Our Friends, the podcast for people with loved ones struggling with mental health. Hey Little Helpers, today is part 2 of our Love Island psychoanalysis and recap. We are all caught up on 37,000 episodes that came out this season, and we are ready to dive in. But first, kick it to Kibby.
Really exciting. The Cool Mind community is now officially live, open, and running. We did our first live call, and it's really, really great so far. I mean, the people in it are awesome. Basically, just so if people don't know what this is a place where we're going to teach all the different skills that we talk about on this podcast. So how to get through a breakup, how to communicate effectively, how to set boundaries, how to support a loved one with emotional or mental health issues. So the community, if I'll link it on the show notes, that's a place where it's really exclusive and private, so we're not letting everyone in. But it really centers around this 12-week course. People can jump in at any point, but it's basically teaching all the different skills that we talk about. For example, next week we're going to do mindfulness of emotions, and this week we're doing discovering your values, so you can really rediscover yourself and sense of purpose. So far it's been amazing. And also it's here for you for whatever you need. So if you want more information on addiction or how to talk to a loved one who you think has borderline personality disorder, this is the place where it's basically having us in your back pocket. So, and Jacqueline, you're going to come in at some point and co-teach or lead a skills group week. What skill do you want to teach? What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing to teach?
I actually do like mindfulness of emotions a lot. I like Dear Man a lot. The interpersonal skills generally.
It's all interpersonal skills. That's the fun part. It's all an interpersonal effectiveness community. So, all right, we'll get you in for Dear Man. That's one of our favorites. Anyway, so if you're interested, go to coolamind.com, KULAMIND.com. I'll also put a link in the show notes, so you could just look at the description and find a place where you can learn more about how to join the community if you're interested.
Amazing. Okay, Kibby, what did you think? By the way, Kibby and I have not discussed this at all. She tried last night, and I refused because I have integrity for this podcast.
Wait a minute. You're saying I don't have integrity? We were planning an analysis, and I see you all over Instagram, like saying all of your thoughts. I'm like, and now you're like, no, I'm not talking about it until the podcast. So just calling you out.
How did you feel about the finale?
Gaslighting everyone, just gaslighting me. I mean, this. I know that we have different perspectives. I'm speaking as a longtime lover of Love Island. I've watched a lot of the UK versions, which I feel like are the classics. So I really have like a history with this show. This season really felt like, like professional. When a reality show turns, when it jumps the shark, and it feels like it jumps the shark when the people in it feel like they were auditioning more for influencer role than they are being on the show for realsy. So it just felt really calculated. It just felt like, okay, Amaya, I have my opinions about Maya. She seems really sweet, but it just all seemed like, towards the end, it felt like a game. I don't know. What do you feel like?
I mean, I was very happy Amaya and Brian won. I thought that was the right choice. And I have positive feelings towards her that we can go into. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wound up enjoying the show because I got attached to a lot of the contestants. And in particular, I really, really loved the male friendships. That kind of sustained me for a while. But I mean, I did think the first half of it was really boring. And I didn't find many of the partnerships totally believable or compelling. So I can understand how you would have that opinion. But I did start really enjoying it in the last 10 episodes.
Good. Will this inspire you to go back and watch the old
Maybe.
Love
I
Islands?
definitely would if it were more like 15 episodes. My only thing is like it's such a commitment and there's other shit I want to watch. But
I know.
if it's like
Yeah.
really compelling, like Maths Australia, then I'd watch 36 episodes. I skipped all the After Sun stuff though.
Okay. There's a lot for us to talk about. There's the Amaya, there's how calculated it feels, there's the male friendships, there's Huda.
Yeah, well, we're definitely gonna talk
Um,
about Buddha.
and then I also want to ask you at some point about all of the controversy of the two contestants getting kicked off because of their social media.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to talk about. Okay. First thing, when you said the male friendships, I think maybe because I lately because a lot of people in the Cool Mind community just happen to be people with partners, like male partners who are
Mm-hmm.
struggling, and I've just been doing a lot more research into this, and we've talked about this on different episodes in the podcast, but men's mental health is down the toilet.
Yeah.
Like they are not doing well. Like
Mm-hmm.
across the board, mental health issues are skyrocketing everywhere, but especially with men. And a big factor of that is male loneliness. Right?
Yeah.
Men are just not good at making friends as much as women, and we know from research that quality of the relationships actually make you live longer, give you a better life above financial status, above IQ,
Mm-hmm.
and above genes. So relationship, if you're like, how do I have a happy long life? It's, make sure that you
Yeah.
are not lonely. And it's interesting with Love Island. I also thought about this. I was watching this and I was like, wow, I don't know what the producer maneuvering or what they actually like do to manage what these people do in Love Island, but these men are sitting around talking a lot and opening up about their emotion. First of all, they're just spending a lot of time together without phones, without distractions, right? So that's a really, I imagine, like a really cool way to bond. But they're sitting around talking about their feelings and commitment and relationships in probably way more depth than men usually do. So I wonder if that's a big piece where suddenly it's like you're seeing these
Yeah.
magical bromances happening and it's like
I really actually am happy that this show exists for the sole purpose of showing young men what's possible and that it's actually okay to cry. I mean, these men, I have never seen a more emotional group of men in a good way, right? Emotional as in like willing to cry, willing to express their feelings, willing to like hug each other and cuddle each other, not emotional like rage. Like nobody was enraged, which was nice to see, right? It was like men really adopting the softer side to themselves and still embodying masculinity. Like I would say all these men were pretty masculine. And what did they get out of it? They got great friendships. I mean, the scene where the four men were all in the same bed, I was just like, it was such a cute little moment. They've put stuff on Instagram of like the men being very physical with each other, like roughhousing or doing tricks, or like Nick and Pepe, I think it was, had a really cute video. And it's just really nice to see. I mean, when Nick originally left and Ace and Taylor were going through it, like more, it seemed almost more significantly than the women were. It was really sweet that they were able to show each other how much they meant to each other and laugh about it a little bit. Even, I remember early in the season, I really liked this moment where Nick tells, I think it was Ace, that he and Sierra had sex, and he was like, "It's the best 20 seconds of my life." Like, he's even able to joke about his own, like, coming too quickly. Like, it just, it was really sweet. And I'm hoping that this wasn't, my guess is that these men, because they actually demonstrated a lot of emotional maturity with the women and in other instances, that they might be examples of Gen Z that are well adjusted,
mm,
because there are now parents, right, who are like cultivating their little boys' emotional worlds and who are, being intentional about socializing them. And obviously, these men are men who have had a lot of social success in the past. They wouldn't be on the show if that weren't true. So I doubt that they are normally really lonely. You've got two of them, right, who were former or current professional basketball players. That's like a big team.
Who?
Chris is current, and then Pepe was former.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, in pro can mean a lot of things. I mean, that doesn't mean they were in the NBA, but like they could have been, international players
Got
or,
it.
but that, they've got a team. Like I'm sure that is filled with close friendships. But I mean, there were people like Ace who I did not realize was 22 until the end. I'm a big Ace fan, as we know, but he turned away from the Littlefinger arc and more towards the nice guy arc. So, um, showed a lot of
I
emotional
think he
maturity.
got I think he got kicked off because he lost his emotional control. I think he got aggressive. Like
How did he
there was
aggressive?
oh gosh, I can't remember, but I think it was one of those challenges where they had to talk. I think towards the end, I just remember a couple episodes where he was kind of blamey of other people, and I think he was like just frustrated in general and a little bit like he was jealous of Shelley, but he got a little controlling in a way and like snappy at people. Um, then again, like I don't think he acted on it incorrectly. Like I don't think he was um just out of line. But I think people turned on him. That's why they kicked him out.
I was, it's not that I was surprised that they were kicked out because obviously the few episodes before they'd been ranked low, but I didn't understand it at all. I found them to be the most
Mm.
compelling couple. A compelling meaning believable. Like I
Hmm.
actually could buy into their relationship and think that they might last. And I thought that Ace was a very, very good communicator, and I thought he did regulate his emotions really well. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to talk through like what you saw as controlling. I mean, there was that episode where they all had to write secrets about each other where everybody lost their
I think
shit.
that was it. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he and Austin had like a big fight. And I saw Austin's side, honestly. I was kind of siding with him in that, but
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think I think Ace got a little just backed into a corner and got a little aggressive at certain points. But I I I I take your point that I was surprised the whole way through. It really was a cast of people who were very emotionally intelligent and communicative. I mean, Alandria,
yeah.
oh man, like that woman, got angry at appropriate times, apologized when there was miscommunications, like made up conflicts. I mean, and then the men too. I mean, even like we don't really love, and the whole world doesn't really love Taylor's choice of leaving Alandria, but I think it was he spoke genuinely. It was like I'm looking to explore
Yeah.
connections. I really like Alandria, but Clark made me feel something different, something more boyish and fun, and that's what I'm going with.
It
And
was
I was like, wow, that's really articulate and very clear.
yeah. It was funny. I mean, I understand why Taylor and Clark got kicked off because I don't think that Clark's personality shone through. I'm sure she's wonderful, but I don't think she was the best like reality TV star. And so I think people just saw him leaving Alandria, who'd put all this effort into, and they'd seen them like forge a connection rather than have like a light bulb connection like he and Clark did. And so it was upsetting to watch him leave Alandria, who people knew really well, for Clark, who is seemed more
Hmm.
introverted. But the confusion around how could he leave someone who had put in so much effort and time is like completely ignoring how attraction works. I mean, it's really not hard to leave somebody who's put in a lot of time and effort when they maybe had to put in that time and effort because the attraction actually wasn't that strong and they had to like forge it. Like, I never thought
Interesting.
Taylor was that convincingly into her. And
That's interesting.
I don't know, did you?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in the beginning they did have this issue of she was asking for him to show more, she was even swayed by Jalen, the new guy, because he was a little bit more
Oh, yeah, yeah.
taking
Hmm.
initiative, right? And they did explain it at some point. I think someone even said this. They said, Landra's more serious and more like, like got her shit together, whereas Clark it maybe is more fun and laid back. So there, it just maybe brought out something different in Taylor.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it
I
could be
just,
anything. It could be physical. Like we have no idea, but
yeah,
obviously he knows when he's really into somebody, and like the show incentivizes people coupling up, right? So like of course he's going to invest in Alandria if she's the only one showing him interest and the only one available. But then when something better comes along for him, then like yeah, he's going to jump ship. But it just didn't go very well for the audience.
there is something weird about the whole structure of this show. I mean, in the old Love Island, you really did see real connections and couples like formed in like week one and stayed. Sometimes they won, sometimes they didn't. But this season felt really punishing of people who had genuine connections. Like as soon like the whole Hannah and Pepe,
I
anytime
know.
someone actually liked each other, like even Ace and Shelley, as soon as they actually go, yeah, we like each other, it's like they're ripped apart, right?
Mhm.
And I don't
I
know,
mean, this
some of
is
it seemed to be like timing, like the whole Sierra controversy. But it really was like, I'm not surprised that at the end there weren't that many genuine couples because the genuine couples were kicked off.
I know this was my point the last time we did this episode. I was like, what is the point of the show? Everyone who gets a connection gets kicked off. So I found it really hard to invest in because I couldn't figure out what it is that they were supposed to be doing. And I mean, yeah, when Pepe asked during that, it was interesting. First of all, during the time when they had to share secrets about each other, he all he said was, "I don't get why Hannah was kicked off. We had a great connection." And then it seemed like they were kind of aggressive about it. Like that
They
was
were
a
like,
total.
you locked in and we didn't think that, you need to explore more people. And it's like, what? But I liked her. Like, what's
Yeah,
going
and he
on?
had already explored Hannah. Like, and they had like 2 episodes to be together. I mean, it wasn't like they locked in for 10 episodes. I just, yeah, I mean, I'm still confused about that. It is amazing, like, who makes it to the end? In this case, it was Amaya. And look, I think she's a very compelling reality TV character, but she's really lucky she didn't find a connection sooner because I think part of it was like, oh, we're at the end. Now you can have a relationship. Like now you're gonna invest.
Okay. Well, this is the thing that felt the most scammy to me.
Hmm.
Amaya, I like how genuine she is. I love how communicative she is about her feelings. Like it's all on the surface. It is a little bit dysregulated, right? She does feel like a young child.
Oh, I think the whole reason they love her is she can't regulate emotions, but she's good natured, so most of her emotions are positive, and so you're just seeing dysregulated positive emotion, which is
Well,
childlike.
we did see her flip out a couple times, right? And cry a
Totally.
lot,
So
so
we know she
that
can't
part,
regulate those. But she also can't. I don't think people are used to not to seeing people who can't regulate positive emotions. And I think that
yeah,
charmed everyone. But I think that
that's
was all
interesting.
that was. And they would say she had the zoomies. It's like, yeah, Amaya can't regulate her positive emotions.
And
Most of
doesn't
us
know
sit
where
around.
Belgium is. I mean, like, one of
Yeah.
the guys was like, "My mom is in Belgium or something." She was like, "Oh, Germany," and he's like, "No, Belgium, the country." Anyway, we won't
I've
talk
been
about.
barred by everyone from talking about anybody's intelligence, so I'm just going to stick with emotion regulation.
She was very sweet, I think. But the thing is that,
Mhm.
I mean, think about the horrible shaming. Like, talk about how we approach shame as a society. This poor girl stands up there, encircled by all the people that she's dated and she's friends with, and America. And three guys she dated were like, "You're too much. You come on too strong. I didn't like that. That's why I rejected you." And she's just, poor girl is crying.
I know.
And none of the guys who dated her like came to her defense, like were nice. They all were like, "Yeah, me too. You freaked me out." And she's just like sobbing. And then I think America voted after that. They voted her positively because I feel like everyone can sympathize with being shamed for being too into someone. And then there was that challenge where it was like you actually got to see how America voted on each person, and Amaya was just like everyone thought she was the most genuine, the most kind, or whatever. And then right after that, all the guys were suddenly super interested in Amaya.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about auditioning for influencer role, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Brian, who the F is Brian? He just slipped right in and was just like, I get it. You're Hispanic. I like that. And suddenly
Well,
he sails to the top. 50K. And this guy, like everyone was just riding the Amaya train to victory.
yeah, I mean, I saw somebody comment that like their relationship seemed fake, like Brian just went and got into her because of America's voting, and like that's perfectly plausible, you know. I don't know how to tell. I mean, he seemed like he could be charmed by her more convincingly than anybody else was able to. When he looked at her, I could, there was a little bit of, there was a part of him that seemed a little bit taken aback, but there was another part of him that was holding her energy and that seemed endeared, to it. I don't know. I mean, he is at least the only person who defended her before she was popular. So, I mean, it's possible.
For a second. I mean, he was just like, yeah, Hispanic people express their affection and say babe a lot. And then they showed that clip and their whole, like, the love story at the end, like the last episode where they try to pretend like all these people had this like beautiful love stories and they're like really scraping, like the producers have to look back at some cute moments that doesn't involve other people, right? Like, let's find Nicolandria clips without Sierra. Like, let and then they find that one clip of Brian saying, yeah, but she's Hispanic. Of course she's going to say babe. And then that was like, part of the story. Anyway, I'm glad that she won because it really did seem like a redemption arc, right? Of like being totally trash for being, like overly enthusiastic and then winning. I think that was like a good
Yeah.
victory for
Well,
people who feel.
and in an age where it seems like everybody's auditioning to be influencers, I think her inability to regulate any emotions means that she's also incapable of masking, and so she is always authentic, whether that is by design and by courage or not. But yeah, I mean, you got the sense that she's certainly real.
The zoomies,
So
I love that. Just like just grown ass woman just running around screaming. It's just
yeah.
it
And I
was
hope that
sweet.
Brian's legitimately into her. I really do. I mean, I think if someone can appreciate her, then they'll have a good life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not to say that they are a bad couple or that, like he doesn't like her. That was all fictional, but like it just seemed like the tables turned. You know
Right.
what? It's this interesting that when I watched Parks and Rec, have you ever watched that show, Parks and Recreation with Amy
A couple
Poehler?
episodes, yeah.
So there's season one and season two are dramatically different. Season
Hmm.
one, Leslie Knope, the main character, is really hardcore, enthusiastic, like super eager, super involved, super dedicated to her work. And everyone is like eye rolling. It's kind of like The Office at first, where it's like, oh, this boss, oh, too much. And then the writer said that all they did was change how people reacted to her for the
Hmm.
season two. And season one, they're like, whoa, this girl. Season two, they're like, this girl, but we love her. And that changed the tone of the show, but the character stayed exactly the same.
Hmm.
And it's this interesting, like, what does it make? Like, think about how social we are. Like, what does it do for the way we view someone?
Yeah.
Whether you're rooting for, like, people are rooting for them or they're like, oh, too much, rejected.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually that I was the same thought was kind of percolating of, I used to date rich dudes, okay? And what I can say is that when a man had money, they'd always be worried that some woman was dating him for his money. And I'm like, but it's going to be really hard to figure that out because here's the thing. When you have money, that woman is genuinely more attracted to you. It's not that she is attracted to money and will take the man because they come hand in hand. That might be true for like, like wolf ugly dudes, but in general, like if you have an asset that somebody wants, then you might actually see their personality is better too. Like if like a hot girl, a guy is going to genuinely be more attracted to her personality as well as her face because she's seen as desirable and somebody to like attain. Like, why are you making that face at me?
Oh, are you talking about the halo effect? That, I mean, I think
I'm
I got
saying that
confused there because you
I'm saying
said
that
that the like women are attracted to the money and therefore they'll find the guy more attractive. But I think what you're saying is the halo effect, which is like if they have a good quality, you might tend to see a lot of their qualities as also positive. Is that
I think it's
what
the
you're
same
talking about?
thing, right? Like money is a good quality for a lot of women. And so then they see the person is more attractive. Like if I saw
Hmm.
Mark Cuban on the street, I wouldn't be like, "Wow, that guy's hot and I want to talk to him." But because I know he's Mark Cuban, suddenly I find him a lot more attractive. Like I'm intrigued by Mark Cuban the person.
Hmm.
In part, it's like, how did he get the money? How is he so successful? That must, say something about him. But I think like we see this with attractive women all the time. Guys will be like, I want to get to know that person because her personality is attached to this body. In other words, when Amaya got voted highly by America, suddenly she was accepted and
Got
lauded
it.
by a lot of people.
Got
She's
it.
seen as more desirable. And I think that suddenly her behavior, which to the men initially had felt desperate or weird or not quite adult, was cast in a different light.
Yeah,
And
that
I
light
think,
is they will get more famous if they if they
but
hang
I
out
don't,
with her.
but I don't think that that's necessarily it. That's saying that they're only that like as soon as they hang out with her and then, when they go home, they'll like break up because they've gotten their use out of her. But I think there's a separate hypothesis, which is these qualities about her aren't embarrassing. There's something
Hmm.
people like. And so now I don't have to feel ashamed or weird about liking them. I don't have
Hmm.
to not like them in order to be accepted. If I actually like her, I will be accepted. Therefore, I will be able to see her better and appreciate her more.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I guess maybe what we might say is what does these signs indicate?
Mm-hmm.
Like what you said, I'm interested in Mark Cuban, or we find him more intriguing because social dominance and resources and intelligence is something that's attractive, and maybe business success is a sign of that. Oh, they have more money, or he's on a show or something. Therefore, he might have these qualities that I'm attracted to. If Amaya was voted high by America, maybe like if I don't really know her, but then if America voted, maybe there's a sign that she's actually a good person, or maybe her emotions aren't scary or a sign of something bad, but it's actually a sign that she's like a really genuine and bubbly person, right?
Yeah, and I
Like,
won't get like rejected or looked at weirdly if I like her. Like, have you ever dated a guy who comes on really, really strong and is like really loud and outgoing, and you could see him as obnoxious and you could be kind of embarrassed to take him along and meet your friends, but as soon as your friends react like really, really well to him, suddenly you're like, oh, okay,
mhm.
it's okay for me to like him. Like, I'm not going to get rejected for this. I don't have to like, he's just really outgoing and charming versus over the top and obnoxious.
Yeah, I think this is like how much does society and like your friends and the world see your potential partner, how much their opinion matters, right? And I think to a degree you're right that if the world um I mean, it just there's human nature. If there's a guy
Hmm.
and all my friends are into him, I there might be a signal of like there's something. This person is a high value catch. This person's a catch. I don't know why yet, but the social
Yeah.
dominance is something that is part of the attraction. But there's also something to be said about like maybe it's not about what people feel, right? It's are you happy with that person? It might be someone who everyone is into, but those qualities are a good or a bad fit for you individually, because at the end of the day, like, yes, my friends' opinions matter in terms of what, do they like my husband or whatever, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's like, like maybe they don't like him, and I'm the
Well, of
one
course.
who's
I
with
mean,
those
of course.
qualities, right?
All I'm saying is that I don't know that Brian's feelings for Maya were fake. Like, just because he wanted, America to like him. I think that America liking, he could have very well been influenced that by that, and I'm sure everybody was. But I mean, this is how popularity works, right? Like, how many times did we like the popular guy in high school and would have written off plenty of negative characteristics because he's seen as desirable? It's also how The
Hmm.
Bachelor works. Nobody breaks up with The Bachelor. I only broke up with him because I was going to get fired. But, the whole premise of the show is this guy's desirable. Go get him. And then people genuinely liked him. It wasn't like they were just playing the game the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to talk
So,
about Huda. I'm sorry to make a hard left turn of
no, no,
this
it's good. We're done.
conversation, but like, great. Like, Brian, that love is real. Amaya is great, and America has recognized that. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I have lots of
I
thoughts
feel
about
iffy
Huda
about
too.
Amaya. Okay, let's dive into Huda, because I feel like she's a really interesting person to talk about from a psychological perspective, because I feel like I'm right. I feel like that's right. I just feel like we talked about this in our last episode, but that Huda is someone who comes in showing exactly what the dangers could be of having a negative core belief about yourself from previous trauma. And I'm saying that
Hmm.
because actually there was another podcast. Um, I think it's Call Me Daddy. So she was on another podcast and she talked a lot about her history. And her history was kind of rough. I don't know if you've heard about this or saw this online, but
I don't know anything about it.
um, I think her dad was, or parents were abusive. Like, her dad would be really abusive and then be really sweet. People like the CPS was called on her. She'd witness a lot of like domestic violence between her parents. She was bullied in school. She struggled with eating disorders and suicidality. Yeah, so
Hmm.
she she really didn't have a safe, stable background, and you could feel that when she was dating at least I could see something like that with Jeremiah, because Jeremiah, I don't know, like, all the guys she dated, okay, fine, they have their faults, they weren't right for her, I agree, but she reacted so strongly, like it really was this like negative bias that we're talking about, where it was, so they would do something and then she would react so angrily to it. And of course, there's probably a whole history. Like, there are probably many moments of that, and the cameras are just going to show one piece. But she would just blow up on these guys just because he didn't make the right pancake, or he wouldn't turn to cuddle her, or just all these things that would just made her look like she was anticipating being let down.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Um, I think that I was usually able to see the thing about their behavior she was reacting to. But I mean, I went on quite a journey
Mm.
with Huda myself because at various times, I strongly disliked her, and at various times, I was really rooting for her. And I think, the last place we left off with her when we were recapping was that she obviously exploded on Jeremiah in an inappropriate way. But that then I thought she gained some of my respect when she actually was able to put it to rest and move on and not be a vortex of drama and attention for the rest of the show. Meaning, like, you know, if I had been left in a humiliating fashion and had to then watch that person go on and date, I would probably draw a lot more to myself and cry a lot more and be a lot more dramatic. Um, I shouldn't say that. That's actually kind of incorrect. I'm not a very dramatic person, but I don't think I would be able to sit there with a smile on my face. Um, then I had a big upward trajectory with her for a really long time because I saw her as regulating more. And when she met Chris, um, she was drawn to what seemed like it would be a healthy dynamic. She made a lot of comments in ITMs about not wanting to fuck it up. Like it seemed like she was really vulnerable in those moments about, knowing her behaviors to some extent and knowing that she risks pushing people away and being very scared of that and insecure about that. And, I thought that was a good thing to admit and think about. I also saw her as really accepting a lot of feedback from her friends
Mm.
and really intentionally trying to develop and grow. She'd say things like, "You guys would be so proud of me. I just walked away. I just walked away. I didn't blow up," right? Like she is taking people's feedback seriously for a while. Um, and then, like with the whole PDA thing, I was like, I think that you're targeting the wrong thing. I don't think that people objected to you and Jeremiah because of PDA necessarily, but I understand having gotten hurt and then trying to figure out all the different hypotheses of how this went wrong and trying to control for all of them. Um, I thought that that whole thing demonstrated some immaturity, but I was still kind of endeared by her. She was trying not to fuck things up. Um, she kept walking away from him, presumably because she was getting overwhelmed, flooded. That wasn't effective. She should have named a timeout, but not everybody knows that, whatever. Then they kind of got over it in a mature way. And then she nosedived and completely betrayed all of her progress by um, being very inappropriate about demanding touch in bed, and then completely self-sabotaging and ending it with him and then being proud of herself for that. Being like, "I'm a girl boss because I ended it with this guy who doesn't like me enough," right? Like, isn't physical enough. And like, that's not what happened. That is not what happened. And and yeah. And then he gave a beautiful speech in there, like when they went up, and he described her the way she really should want to be seen by a man. So I was like, "Ooh, Huda, you made a big time mistake here. Like, you should not be proud of self-sabotaging and deciding to end this because it was uncomfortable and you can't handle conflict and confrontation about your shitty behavior." She never owned up to being controlling and inappropriate and treating him like a. Somewhere she learned that the way to get respect is to break balls. I'm sure that
Mhm.
was modeled for her somewhere, probably like maybe by a social media person, being like, "Girl powers, don't take this shit from a man. Speak up for your worth." Da da da. Da. Which, like, there's a way to do that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, what a bad note to end on, Huda.
Yeah, what do you think happened? Do you like you're saying that it wasn't she didn't break up with him because he didn't like her. What do you think was the actual thing that made the whole thing fall apart?
I think she didn't. I think she can't trust a potentially good thing. Um, and she was too uncomfortable with being confronted for her behavior so much, probably, and felt like the
Yeah.
safer thing to do was to just walk and have a maybe she thought it was a girl power moment. I don't know. Like her claim that they have, these physical problems doesn't really make a lot of sense given that he's the one who wanted to be more physical during the day. And then she turns around and is like, "You're not physical enough with me at night." Like,
Yeah.
maybe because he's kind of bummed that you won't touch him during the hours between 7 a.m. and midnight. Like, that bummed me out.
Yeah, I so many things. first thing was she is an example of someone who might be so shame prone and so crushed by shame that you could tell she just doesn't do well with getting called out, right? Like she didn't take accountability many times, even in the whole Shelley conflict where Shelley was mad at her. She kind of like she apologizes, but she collapses under it. Like when someone calls her out, she just, she either says, no,
Yeah.
that's not my fault. I didn't do this. Or she like, like
Yeah,
sobs.
for
So
sure.
she really can't take criticism. And
Yeah.
then I think you're right. I think there's something she's a good example of something that I struggle with when it comes to the online conversation about girl power and female empowerment. There's this tendency to latch on to these really like almost like flimsy signs of power, like
Hmm.
to be like, I need to be treated like a queen, and if they don't treat me like a queen, they're done, right? And
Right.
so some like for her to what that tends to look like is it's okay and strong and powerful for you to completely yell at a guy or punish them for not making a pancake in the way that you want to, or like the scene that I really like, Alex and I just died laughing, was when she broke up with him and then he's walking through the water, like the
And then she
water,
asked him to carry her.
date,
Yeah.
and she's like, you're not gonna hold me, you're gonna, yeah, you're gonna make me walk through this water, and he's like, yeah. And I just had this judgmental like response of like, you are just so like that feels like entitlement, you to be hooked on
Hmm.
these really like false signs of respect and care and how a man should treat a woman, like he should make a pancake perfectly, he should carry her through the water, that she's completely missing this like other stuff that these guys do to be kind to her. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was really respectful that Chris, the way he handled the breakup, he was just like,
Hmm.
I like you, but what's your opinion? And she breaks up with him and she says, well, let's be friends around our friends. And he goes, you know, I can't just stop liking you. So for now, I think that has to be a no from me. I'm like,
Hmm.
wow,
Yeah, he handled it
that
like a
is a
boss.
sign of a man who's like treating her well. He's like owning his feelings, not being mean about it, but setting his boundaries clearly. I was like, that is something that we should that to me feels more like princess treatment than like whether a pancake was made perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, also, it was an interesting moment where he chose to sleep in soul ties, and she's like, I think he's being a little bit dramatic. Like, no, he's not. He doesn't want to sleep next to somebody who dumped him. Like, why can't you understand that? Would you, you know? So it's, yeah, I mean, I think, I have a bit of a soft spot towards her because I can tell that she has a lot of pain and that she wants to work through it, and that in some moments she tries to, but she just gets so triggered. And I think she would be exceptionally difficult to be in a relationship with right now. I also think that she'll probably get to a good place one day, because I think she has good intentions, but there is some lesson that she's taken in that she needs to like take no shit from men, and that she needs to call them on it. And also that like breaking balls is charming, like she would criticize him, but she would mean it in a cute way. Like it was there was an example when they had the baby together, and I don't know. I'm not going to remember it well enough to give a good example, but Jeremiah would complain about this too. Like when she would say something like, good job, or like she would
Hmm.
make herself the judge of whether some like behavior was good or bad, but she would say it with a twinkle in her eye, but the guy would be like, no, gross. Like, don't tell me to never
Yeah.
do something again, or, to I don't know. I wish I had a better example, but I see that behavior in women sometimes, and it always goes poorly for them because men don't like to be patronized and ordered around.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that. uh, I think it's so hard for us to know how to actually get control and feel secure with men that we are locking into certain behaviors that are good or bad as like, I mean, I blame Instagram, I blame myself, you know, like five red flags that he is toxic. And it's like, does he pull out the chair for you, or so to speak, right? Like, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
these all these behaviors that are like held as the signs, and then it's seen as like, you know, owning, like knowing your worth by demanding those signs, right? Demanding the green flags and punishing them out of the red flags. But no, those are signs of
Yeah.
something. And just because they're acting in a different way, but it's like they're looking, maybe she's just looking for the wrong signs. And the other thing I've it felt with her is, and I don't know this for certain, but I got the sense it's kind of like people who've been through trauma or abusive relationships or have borderline features. There's this like hot cold, and maybe this is my own experience with people with BPD, where they when they feel rejected or unsafe or an attachment insecurity, they might shut down. Well, fine, I'm out of here, you do this, and I had enough, let's break up. So they cutting off the legs to see if you crawl back.
Mm-hmm.
So it sometimes feels like a test of like, I'm going to remove myself and punish you by depriving you of me because you've hurt me. Wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. Wait a minute. Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? You should. The test was whether you can come and chase me and
Yeah,
show me
totally.
that you actually love me. So it's some like with Huda, she would yell at Jeremiah all the time whenever he withdrew. And then he'd be like, I'm sorry, you're right. I do. I promise I'm in this. And then she'd be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Until it didn't happen. So I wondered if like Huda was, you know, giving the cold shoulder just to see if Chris would rise
Yeah,
up. But like
very
most people, it'd
possibly.
be like, okay, you're cutting me off. I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his response really cut through that. He's like, all right, cool. I already knew. Thanks for making it official, you know? Like, we'll be fine. Yeah, and then her trying to get some sort of closeness back. Oh, well, we can be friends, right? We'll be cool. No, but I don't hate you though. But I need to stop liking him modeling like I don't have to be a dick in response to you crashing out. Apparently, that's new lingo I've learned from the show, by the way.
I know. It's everywhere.
Um,
That's
it
what the
really,
kids are saying, crashing out.
yeah, I kind of like it. Um, I don't know. I really demonstrated like I feel like that's what a therapist would do in response to that kind of behavior too. Like, okay, you made your choice, and now I'm gonna make you live in your choice. I'm gonna be respectful and kind, but you made your choice, and you have to live with the consequences of that.
I thought it was so subtle but so beautiful that Chris said, I have to stop liking, or like I have to stop liking you, or
Yeah.
basically admitting that like in the face of her rejecting him, he pulled back but said like, I still like you, like I'm the one who wanted to continue this. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, he's not afraid to, you know, like in the moment when people get rejected, it's tempting to be like, well, I didn't want you anyway, you're beneath me, to like pretend that they're the rejector. But he was just like, I'm the one who likes you and you're rejecting me, so I'm gonna step back. I
It
thought, I
was
was
a
like, wow.
it was a fantastic moment for those reasons that you say, and also because I think he was also modeling. She chose to walk away when she felt vulnerable. And he is modeling, even when I'm rejected, I'm still going to be vulnerable, but in a boundaried and self-respectful way. I'm still going to own my feelings that I like you. I have feelings for you, even though you don't like me. Where she, right, walked, presumably because she's worried that
He's not into her.
she's shamed. Yeah, she's not good
Hmm.
enough. She's rejected.
Hmm.
So I thought that was also really powerful. So go, Chris.
Man, these
I know.
men on this show, huh? The emotional maturity. I don't think Austin, maybe not so much, but like a lot of them are pretty good.
I really liked Austin though. But yeah, I mean, going back to Ace, like I just thought I don't know. I thought he handled most of that really well too. I mean, I thought he let Shelley come to him for the most part, but he was also able to say what he believed in many instances. I don't know. I was really into him. It's been a couple of episodes since I've seen him, so I don't remember, but I
I'm
thought that
just
he did a
having a
really
thought.
okay.
I'm gonna just jump in here. In the, I think in the this past season of our podcast, or maybe last one, we've been like, what's going on with men? Uh-oh, what's
Uh-huh.
this? What are we gonna do with this? With punishing the old toxic masculinity and leaving boys or young men with like, what do I do now? How do I be a man and feel powerful, and not ashamed and not like a dick for just being me? Like,
Yeah.
how do we course correct here? Like, what do we do now? And I think that, we should keep harping on these moments when I mean, it might be little, like they're not a Landria, but like a lot of these men demonstrate a lot of emotional intelligence. And I think that's where our value is resting more than, I mean, of course, we still value, success or ambition or social dominance in other ways in men. But I think emotional intelligence is a lot more valuable for us than brute force, right? Like instead of
Hmm.
being like a man who's going to hunt and have a hinge picture with a fish and whatever, like we want a little bit more of like, can you listen to my feelings and can you express boundaries in a really compassionate way? Can you be vulnerable? Can you talk about feelings? Can you make friends? I think those are the like
Yeah, I mean, a thousand
good
percent.
qualities.
I think that the answer is not, it doesn't have to be so mysterious and confusing. Men like to, they always say this, right? We protect and provide. Okay, well then figure out what we actually need protection from. Like,
Ooh.
because we don't live with saber-toothed tigers anymore. We don't, we're not at war in our own country. Like,
I love that. Yeah, the thing that has persisted is we need to be protected,
hmm
and before every feminist jumps in and says, "No, we're not protected." I mean, I was there when I was like, "We don't need protection," but when I got pregnant and you feel vulnerable, you feel
hmm
crazy, you feel like I have a new life like I just wanted to be protected, right? But I think you're right. Like what men have to do now to protect us is different than when we were defending against saber-toothed tigers, which that's an interesting, like when were we as human beings defending ourselves against saber-toothed tigers? But I see what you
I
mean.
mean, it's
Yeah.
been a while, but I think there, we lived in worse conditions in,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
100 years
Even
ago.
war, even war, like,
Right.
like
Exactly.
we don't need hand-to-hand combat men like being able to command an army. We
Right.
need men to have the intelligence to be able to operate drones. No, never mind. Don't.
Yeah.
That's
No,
not
I
the.
mean,
That's not the thing.
I think like, I look at Jason and he makes me feel very protected and provided for. Like, is he a big, strong man? He's a lanky, 6 foot dude. Like, yeah, he could probably fight somebody successfully, but I don't need him to. That would make me feel less safe if he like went and had a fight with somebody, unless it was like, purely defensive. He makes me feel safe because he takes care of shit. He sets up a home in a way for it to be successful. He always does his duty, he's responsible and he can handle me when I'm emotional. I get to feel young, like younger, I can be sweeter, I can be softer. Men love us when we're soft, right? So like build the conditions that allow our softness. Otherwise, we are going to have to come in and, be big girls. And that's not going to be as pleasant. So, like, you can still be men. Just do it the way these Love Island dudes are. They're doing a good job.
Mm.
And they're providing, right? They're making dinner for the lady or breakfast for the ladies. Like they're the ones coming up with the date ideas. Like
All
men
right.
can lead in all sorts of ways.
Okay. This is inspiring me for
Mhm.
the Cool Mind Instagram content and all that. Or even just for the Cool Mind community. I'm gonna go through the show
Mm.
This is going to be my new obsession. So thank you so much for,
You're welcome.
killing my whole week. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to find examples of like the kind of men that we want. Because even
Hmm.
Pepe, right? Like Pepe was just,
Don't
I
even get me started
mean,
on Pepe. I would date Pepe today if I were
oh my
single.
God,
He's
that
so
guy, his
attractive.
DMs are going to explode. I mean,
Yeah.
he just was like honest, solid. Same thing like when he was hurt that Hannah was voted off and everything like that. He just seemed like a solid dude, but emotionally present, slow, kind, attentive. Ugh,
I
hot.
mean,
I
hot. Oh
mean,
my God. Pepe, I very rarely like get attracted to people on TV nowadays, and he is so outside my type from first glance, like with the,
me too.
just with the broy kind of look. But holy shit, he was so hot. And most of it was his personality. He was so modest, but he clearly has a lot going for him, that he just sort of ekes out. Like you don't know all these things at first. He's not showboating. He takes his time. He makes women feel like women. Like the whole, I was not surprised that they were voted so far because like people just want to keep seeing him. And Iris was perfectly fine. I actually it was sort of sweet because she could clearly see his worth. She's like, "Do you think he actually likes me? Like, do you like she was seeming really into him." And he has this quality where he's not desperate. Like he's not chasing. He's pursuing just the right amount. Oh my God, I could gush all day about Pepe.
Pepe's great. Pepe,
Yeah,
I just
Pepe.
like,
My DMs are open.
I don't know. If you were single, I'd say slide into his DMs, but maybe I'll just make you slide into his DMs anyway. Okay. Last thing I wanted to talk about was the all the controversies about like taking off. What is Ulyssia? What's her name? Ulyssia and Sierra because of racist comments they had on their Instagrams.
Do you know what Sierra's racist comments were, by the way?
Yes, but why don't you say it on? Why don't you say it now?
I'm not going to say it. I'm not allowed to say it. You're allowed to say it.
Okay,
They
I'll
were
say
against Asian people.
it.
I'd love to hear what
She's
you think about this, by the way.
I think it's interesting that I feel like in our previous experience and in general, I feel like white people tend to be more upset about the Asian comments than I feel. I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if someone did a cheeky, like the times that people have made fun of me for being Asian, like it hurt. But I
Mm,
feel like there's, like there is some wars going on that I'm like, I don't, I personally, and I am sorry if this offends anybody, I personally wouldn't rip someone off of a show. I think it does show a lack of good judgment because she's
for
going on
sure.
a national television show. Go scrub your Instagram before you go on a show like that and take off anything that has anything to do with race or anything else, right? Just like be smart
Yeah.
about this. Not the most kind or like use another word. However, if this had come out on the show and she had deeply apologized and made up for it and was like, oh my God, I realized like this is so offensive, I would be like, fine, let her be on the show. If it was an indicator of other things,
Yeah.
like I think someone said on a podcast at some point that Sierra was the most fake person on the show. I think Huda said this.
Mm.
She's or somewhere I saw this clip. Maybe I just made it up in my mind and I'm just spreading false news. It's more stupid than it's just stupid. Just go through your Instagram and just clean it up, Just or don't do those things. Don't do them in the first place. Don't think those things in the first place. Don't use racial slurs. But you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
are you not
Maybe
having an opinion now because you don't want to step in it?
kind of. I mean, look, I got in trouble with Duke for having a caption that said hashtag English, which is also an Asian dig. It's just that in my case, it was a trip to Taiwan with my Taiwanese friend who taught me that word. as if it was like a cool accepted thing that everybody said. And it was back in 2015 before the wokening. But it was the same kind of thing where you were like, guys, this is not a big deal. And all the white people were like, she can't come to Duke.
I
Maybe
mean,
you hear
man,
it.
I think maybe I have a I have a particular bias. I mean, we were told talk we I don't think we've done a lot of episodes on racism. I feel like I've been enormously privileged by living in New York.
Hmm.
Things did change when I was living in North Carolina, and there was
Hmm.
COVID, and like the the whole Asian racism changed. I think,
Yeah.
and like maybe New Yorkers just were a little nicer. I remember going to Italy for study abroad, and man, the amount of racism towards Asians that's allowed in Europe is staggering. Like, I would meet people, and they would ask me, "Do I eat dog?" That would be like
Mhm.
number two question. I've had people go nee 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 like at me,
Oh my God.
I've heard
That
my
is
Italian
outrageous.
roommate. I heard my Italian roommate talking to my other roommate about how disgusting it is that more Chinese people are moving to Italy and starting dirty, disgusting Chinese restaurants. And I was sitting there and they were like, "Oh, I forgot you're Chinese." And I was like, "Okay." Like, oh, and another thing was that in my class, in my Italian class, two
Uh-huh.
racist moments. One time, they were teaching like idioms, Italian idioms, and they were saying like an idiom is like just like bread, which meant this is so good because it's just like bread. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, just like bread, there's other good things. And they were like, would you understand better if it was about rice?
Oh my God.
Racist moment number two is when we were like drawing something on the board and we were all picking markers, and I picked the red one, and they went, red for the Chinese one. I don't know how this turned into a rant about me and my moments of
It's just
racism,
outrageous.
but I think that America has a really interesting stance on like racism and Asians, and it's been kind of like a moving target. I definitely know that there is some, but I'm going to tell you guys, I've had wild amounts of racism in other countries. I don't know
Was
where I'm
this
going
all
with
a way
this.
of saying,
I'm not that mad about Sierra. I think she was dumb. I think it was a not nice thing to say. However, and I think the Ulyssia had the N word on her Instagram, which yeah,
whoa,
well yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know. That's my opinion. I feel like we can do a better job of having people apologize and repent
hmm.
and not go so hard in the cancel culture.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, like like Alice, like I'd be interested to hear how offended she would be by that. I bet she'd be pretty pissed off. It's not really for me to say how offensive it is because it's not a word I've heard in like 50 years.
That's why it's so weird, I guess.
I
Like,
know.
yeah,
I mean, have you heard it? It seems kind of retrograde or something,
not
historical.
since Italy.
Yeah.
If Kung Flu was still circulating, that I feel like had by our president, that was more offensive.
I did not know that was something that he said.
Oh yeah, publicly. The Kung Flu was COVID.
That is so emblematic of his style. Like, it's so childish.
He's not canceled.
He's
It's kind of funny. I mean,
uncancelable. I mean, it is kind of funny. It's like a funny rhyme, but it's like part of what's funny is how immature it is.
yeah.
Is Kung Fu even No, that is Chinese, isn't it? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so we're ending on the note of don't be
Wait,
racist
we
against
should talk
Asians.
about Nicolandria.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Just a few minutes for this. I liked the arc. I didn't totally buy the arc. mainly because it seemed like once they got together, all they talked about was, how did we not see the signs? I was like, were there signs? I don't remember thinking they had chemistry early on, but maybe I was just distracted or not paying enough attention. And then, yeah, I'm like, I think it would be beautiful if they then went on and dated. And I hope that's what's happening. But I wasn't like, oh, yeah, these two people finally, like they've just
Yeah.
been so blind to each other. And now the connection is uh unbelievably obvious. I don't know.
Hmm.
I was like, it could
Yeah.
be, I just couldn't tell.
It just is a little bit more clear that they were together out of convenience. They seem to be friends. They seem to like each
Right.
other. They tried kissing, and then she turned to Sierra and was like, "I'm sorry, there were no sparks. We did it because we have to be coupled up because we're both rejected." And then at
Right.
the end, there was all these like mysterious notes from fans about how we all wanted this coupling. I'm like, I fans or producers? Because like, are they trying to pull an Amaya here where it's like America wants this? Um, but I think they were nice people. I like watching both of them.
Right.
Nick and Alandria were just like seemed to be really lovely. Like I'm
Yeah, they were
rooting for
both
them
great.
as human beings. Yeah.
They were both great. Their friendship's great. If they are truly together, that's great. It just wasn't obvious to me that it was real, and it did seem very convenient.
It looked
Um,
like a bet because there have been some Love Island UKs where at the end, like some of the top four have been like friend couples where they
mhm,
just were best friends and they were like, we're not romantically involved, but maybe America will vote for us as a friend
mhm.
couple, and that never really worked. I mean, they got like second place or something like that, but like maybe they were just betting like we got to make this look like a romance story because this,
Yeah.
let's shoot our shot here.
Okay, what's your bet? Will Pepe pick Iris or Hannah now that he's back out in the wild? Or neither?
Ooh. Can you imagine how many DMs that guys, including probably us, even though we're like wifed up? I mean, are you kidding? That
Yeah.
guy could pick from literally anything. Maybe we'll see like we'll see some salacious rumor about, maybe we could start it here, some salacious rumor about how like Pepe was seen leaving the house of Hannah in the morning. Maybe we'll see
Okay.
something like that. But
I'm also interested in whether Hannah would go for Charlie or Pepe.
ooh,
I see her with Charlie a lot more, but we also, whatever. I mean, we got their big emotional goodbye. And I guess she and Pepe had
mm,
one too. And then, will Nick go back to Sierra? It doesn't seem like it because I saw some reel where she was like, when you get this was so immature. She's like, people asking me how I'm doing. Well, I flew to Mykonos after getting the villain edit on national TV and getting dumped by my boyfriend who actually liked my best friend, or something like that. I'm like, I don't know that you got the villain edit. I thought you got a pretty good edit. You just did
she got
a
no edit. Yeah, she got a good edit all the way, and then they just pretended that she didn't exist. They just like, whoops.
right.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about like Love Island, how they have to probably edit as they go
Mm-hmm.
versus, and then the story plays out versus The Bachelor, where you guys were, like for example, your story was highly minimized just because like you left early. Like how different your entire show would have been had you gone one more week, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Which won't be
interesting.
for
Like
9 years.
they can't retrospectively make someone a villain.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I thought I had another fun thing to say, but maybe I don't. Pepe, call me. I'm not married yet. Um, you can also call Kibby. She is married, but will probably reconsider.
I think my husband would actually go for it. I think he'd be like, let's open the doors here to our marriage. We were all into Pepe.
Yeah. Jason would not. And
It's a shame.
if you liked our recap, please give us 5 stars, and we'll see you next week. By accessing this podcast, I acknowledge that the hosts of this podcast make no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast and any and all content or services available on or through this podcast are provided for general, non-commercial informational purposes only and do not constitute the practice of medical or any other professional judgment, advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and should not be considered or used as a substitute for the independent professional judgment, advice, diagnosis, or treatment of a duly licensed and qualified healthcare provider. In case of a medical emergency, you should immediately call 911. The hosts do not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement.